Hello, you're listening to Dead End Road TV. This is the Dead End Road Show. I'm your host, Bill. Joining me again is Ian.
For the second episode in a row. Um, Excited to talk about all the hot topics of the day, including what looks like the 2011 NHL Free Agency.
Yes, nobody is gonna give a shit whatsoever. But I couldn't believe that it has been 10 years since Yager Watch.
Yeah, when I saw that in the show notes, I was just hit with a wave of nostalgia.
I know. I was like, oh, the name Peter Svoboda, like, it just sends a whole ripple.
It really does. I remember being on Twitter back then, and I had like an entire, I don't know what they called them, like groups or like tags, but I had an entire like thing just dedicated to Yagerwatch, the hashtag for all the
Yeah,
news streaming in. Yeah.
it was wild. Okay, so I need to explain this because nobody's gonna know anything about this. This
No,
is such
there's not a chance.
this is such a small insular thing to, like, not even people that follow like Pittsburgh sports probably even like know the entirety of this whole thing.
Forced your hand to start off the show with this so that any listeners that we did have would just lose immediately.
I know. Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do?
We don't have to start with this.
No, no, no.
It's up to you.
I put it. I put it at the top, so
You did.
that's on me. Um, but yeah, 10 years to the day because we're recording this on July 1st, 2021. So okay, so let's start with the basics, I guess. Uh, Jaromir Jagr was a well, he still is. He's a Czechoslovakian hockey player. He's a superstar. He's a friggin' badass. He's one of the best to ever play. He was a longtime Pittsburgh Penguin. He helped them win 2 cups back to back in '91 and '92. And he was just he carried the team through Mario Lemieux's, well, both retirements, and through some dark years until
So he was on the team for like almost as long as Mario then.
he definitely had more games played than Mario because of all of Mario's injuries.
Right.
Yeah, he was the captain for many years because of Mario's various retirements. He had 2. Yeah, he was there through some rough times, and he really put the team on his back. And then them trading Yager away was signaled the deep dark ages that did not end until they drafted Sidney Crosby. So, he's a Pittsburgh legend. And at the time, in 2011, he was playing. Was he playing in the KHL or was it Czechoslovakia at the time?
Say.
I believe. I want to get this right. We need to get the facts right.
Mentioned this is like semi-related, not really, but you mentioned Mario in 91, 92.
Yeah.
I saw a stat yesterday that the playoffs that Nikita Kucherov is having right now, he's leading the NHL in points during the playoffs, and he led last year as well, so 2 years in a row. It's the first time that's happened since Mario in those 2 years, 91, 92. So 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely nuts. Yeah. So he was playing in Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
So yeah. So
Where was he traded to after Pittsburgh?
After Pittsburgh, Capitals, he was traded to Washington.
Right, that's right.
For friggin' peanuts. It was a terrible deal. Just an awful deal. He was traded for like Chris Beach and some other just absolute bums. Terrible deal. And the Penguins sucked. Just the absolute darkest days of the franchise.
So were they on the verge of relocation again around that time?
Yes, that was whenever they were going to relocate, was
Because like
after the
they were
Yager
on the
trade.
verge. Yeah, they were on the verge before they drafted Mario, correct? And then
Yeah.
he had to come out of retirement to save them a second time.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. That's like, I don't think anybody has had a greater impact on a sports franchise than Mario Lemieux, right? I mean, it's remarkable.
He owned the team and was playing for them at one point.
Yeah.
Like that's never happened in major professional sports, like North American professional sports, ever.
Right. But anyway, back to Yager.
Yeah, so 2011 he was playing in the Czech Republic. And so all these rumors started swirling about how he wanted to make a return to the NHL because he was like getting bored, you know. The competition wasn't as high over in Europe. And he wanted to make a return to the NHL. And so then, boom, that was Yager Watch. Bring him back home. So the rumors were, they got so crazy that people were tracking flights from Czechoslovakia to Pittsburgh International. People were waiting at the airport to see if he would show up.
Yep.
So yeah, people were like waiting at the airport. There was a whole thing where people were like, there were like ducks on the airport. People were watching the ducks at the airport. It was like this bizarre spectacle.
Why were they watching the ducks?
Because there was nothing else to do at the airport.
Oh,
like it
sure.
was just like.
No, I get it. Yeah.
And so I think the Penguins might have said they said that they were interested in him. So that fueled the whole thing. There were other teams interested. And so it was July 1st. July 1st is usually in non-pandemic years or lockout years or whatever is free agency day in the NHL. That's like the big day. So the day before, I guess, it would be like the late night, July 30th, or June 30th, rather. A fan blog, the Pens blog, classic fan site, somehow, I don't know how they got it. They got a hold of his agent's number.
This is Peter Svoboda, right?
Peter Svoboda, who was his agent. He was a former player. He played in the NHL for like 15 years. He was his agent.
Remember correctly, I could be wrong about this, but wasn't the Pens blog doing like a live stream as well during this?
They were doing a live podcast.
A live podcast, that's right.
At the time, they somehow got his phone number and decided to call him on the air to ask him about what the hell was going on with Yager Watch. And he answered. And, well, after several attempts, because I think they kept getting voicemail, and the voicemail was like, "This is the inbox of Peter Svoboda," and it just kept replaying that, and they kept calling, and I think he finally answers, and he says, like, who are you? Why are you calling at 9 p.m.? Have some respect. And it was the most bizarre thing in the world that they even had that got his number, called this dude, and that he was like an agent for a major star coming to return to the NHL on like the eve of free agency, and he was in bed at 9. It's
incredible. Wasn't there a quote from him? Like, didn't he end up saying something? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think he got pissed off at like Pittsburgh media in general, which he lumped them in with, even though they were just like a fan site. um, so long story short, Yager did not sign with the Penguins again. So yeah, Yager did not sign with the Penguins. He signed with the he signed with the Flyers. Because the Penguins gave him like an 11 a.m. deadline or something. So yeah, he signed with their rival, the Flyers. And it was a big bummer. Yager Watch ended in complete tragedy, really.
Build up, and then the worst possible outcome.
Pretty much, yeah.
But a very wonderful live podcast.
Yeah, it was a wild time. Just like staying up,
yeah,
trying to see what would happen. It was like people were literally tracking flights and stuff. I still don't understand how they got that dude's phone number. Oh, it was like public or something.
Yeah, the Pence blog in its in its prime was a very entertaining website.
It was.
They might still exist in some form or another, but yeah, back in like the early 2010s, that was the place to be if you were following the Pens.
Yeah, they got wild with stuff. But yeah, every game day, those game day posts. That was what you read pregame.
Really great stuff. Yeah, there's really nothing that rivals this story for me that I've encountered as far as like off-season sports.
No. I can't think of anything.
I mean, the closest thing was just the madness around, as a New York Jets fan, the madness around Brett Favre coming out of retirement and that whole ordeal where eventually he signs with the Jets of all teams.
That was all pretty crazy.
It was, yeah. And then proceeds to like play through an arm injury and ruins their chances at a playoff spot because of it. But not gonna get into that.
Yeah. The only other thing, like during those Penguins years, all their trade deadlines and off seasons were pretty wild. Like nothing topped Yager Watch, but like just a couple of years later, they were in on the Parise sweepstakes. And like people thought that they were tampering because he was friends with Sid, and Sid might have been talking to him.
Do that?
Yeah, it was. But that worked out.
So like if you're in negotiations, you can't talk with another player that's on a different team?
I don't remember what the NHL rules are specifically.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even like confirmed that he was either. It was just like, hey, they're friends. You know?
Yeah, I mean, he ended up going to his hometown team. So it's like there's going to be some personal reason in it usually.
Yeah, it wasn't even like, apparently they weren't even all that close in the end.
Yeah.
But they were like a team in on it. And it was a winger for Sid back in the winger for Sid days.
Right.
So, yeah. So I guess that's our 10 minutes of hockey talk. I guess that's how we open the show now.
Did you want to? Well, I guess it would be sort of out of date by the time this goes up. But last night's game, did you have anything to say about last night's game? It was Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final.
It was just a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Price. He just looked off the whole game.
He did look off. And it's frustrating to see that because the Montreal offense was dominating for a good portion of that game.
Yeah, they had a lot of pressure, especially in that
Mm-hmm.
second period. Um,
Yeah, I mean, they spent almost the entire second period in the offensive zone. I mean, it would have been interesting if Price was getting a lot of action on his end because he just did not, like you said, he just didn't look right.
yeah, like that was it the second goal where he was kind of screened, but like it wasn't a tip. It just sort of
Yeah,
he just sort of whiffed on it, which
yeah,
is really
it's
unlike him.
very unlike him. Yeah.
Especially this year. So
Mm-hmm.
it was, yeah. They're not built for putting up 4, so they can't kind of play that game. They need him to pretty much stop everything. To
Yeah,
have a shot.
They really don't come from behind.
Yeah.
I think I saw a stat where before going into the series, I could be wrong about this, but going into the series, I don't think they'd given up first period goal, or either that or they hadn't been losing at the end of a first period through the first 3 rounds.
There was something crazy where like if they had a lead, they didn't lose or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So they're not built to play from behind.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even the superstars scoring for Tampa either. You know, it wasn't Stamkos and Kucherov and Point.
Right.
In fact, it was the Nick Suzuki line was outplaying the Braden Point line pretty much the entire game.
Yeah. But they're just so
So it's
deep.
just
Like
they are
Tampa
they
is
are.
the best team they've played, obviously. Uh I just can't help but think if the Penguins just had replacement level goaltending.
Hmm.
Just I don't know if they would have beat Tampa, but
I feel
they
like they could have beaten Boston.
that Boston
It would
team
have
I
been
think they could have
close.
beat.
Yeah,
That Boston team was
especially with
beat up.
yeah, they were beat up. I think Rask was injured.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tampa would have been a very interesting series.
And seeing the way that all these goalies like that have made it this far have played, Pens are in trouble if they stick with Jari. Or or or
100%.
or DeSmith. DeSmith cannot play like that either.
No, not on a nightly basis, not as a number one.
No, it's like you can win games in the regular season like that, but like these playoff goalies, they steal games. Jari has not stolen a game in his entire career. Uh, it's just
Yeah.
Vasilevsky had a 940 save percentage last series. 940.
It's mind-boggling. It's these
And
numbers.
I know he's like a top 3, top 2 goalie in the league, but like come on, you need somebody that can steal games for you.
Yeah. Or at least allow your stars to win them.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, they just need it. They would have beat the Islanders if they had replacement level. But
Definitely.
yeah, Tampa had such a relatively easy walk.
Yeah, I mean Carolina I think was probably their toughest I mean they went 7 against the Islanders, right? So that was a tough series too, but
Yeah, I guess. I don't think they played they underestimated the Islanders. They didn't play them properly, I don't think.
yeah.
They played too loose.
But yeah, like when you think about what these matchups could have been, their route was definitely favorable.
Mhm.
It's not over yet, you know. It's going back to Montreal, but by the next, you know, by the time this podcast is posted, the series could be looking a bit different, or it could be practically over.
They don't have a chance unless Price gets like shuts them out. I don't think.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got
Based on what we saw last night,
he's
yeah.
got to steal 2 basically.
Mm-hmm.
They're just too deep. And they've been
Yeah,
taking
they
way
really
too many
are.
penalties. You can't put Tampa on the power play.
No, they have like a nearly 40% conversion rate in the playoffs.
It's nuts.
It's ridiculous.
If Kucherov doesn't beat you, Point's going to beat you, or Stamkos is going to beat you. Like,
Yep.
they're too good.
Yeah, I mean, they really are. For Montreal, on the Montreal side, like after game one, it seemed like a lot of their younger players had adjusted to like being in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, there were some
'Cause,
nerves.
like,
There were some nerves.
definitely, and it seemed like, I mean, Suzuki had a really strong night.
Mm-hmm.
Caulfield looked a lot better than he did in game one.
Oh,
So,
God. Sportsnet, they got new footage of him tapping a ball in the air with a stick.
oh, new footage.
New footage. But, like, okay, cool.
Because they've been showing him do that throughout the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take that over what NBC has been showing. Because I still do the thing where I have the NBC broadcast on, but I will sync up the radio
Right.
because of Pierre Maguire.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching the NBC broadcast, and like they are obsessed with blood.
Blood?
They just with blood, yes. Like Brendan Gallagher's face was all messed up because of
the high
that shot
stick.
he took. Yeah, the high stick.
Yeah.
So they cut to that a ton in the beginning, and then there were some high sticks throughout the game that drew blood, and they kept going in on them over and over. I think the first high stick, they showed the replay. I'm not exaggerating, like close to 10 times in a row.
Why?
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw it once because they were checking for blood, and like that was it. So because it was the 4-minute.
Yeah, they zoomed
penalty.
in on his glove with the spot of blood on it where he was showing the ref. Like they are just they are pushing the, hockey is brutal and the whole fighting scrappy narrative. Like NBC really wants to highlight that. And I'm not really a big fan.
Well, I think it was the last game on NBC Sports, like ever.
That's right, because the rest of the games are going to be on regular NBC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least there's
at least there's that.
But I mean, it's the same crew.
True.
It's just a different channel number.
Yeah.
So there's light at the end of the tunnel. Unfortunately, that light is ESPN. So.
Yeah. Well, you take what you can get.
Yeah, I know. Oh well. So that was hockey minute. I have a Vtuber update if we want to touch on that real quick.
Yeah. I just see the word Muppets and I'm curious.
Yeah, so last week my brother, he heard me talking about VTubers through the thin walls of the house. And so I guess this is almost like, I don't know, listener mail kind of, cuz he sent a message while we were recording that I didn't read until after we were done. And let me see if I want to get his exact wording right. So let me pull that up.
Yeah, you really want to do justice by our one fan. You want to
exactly
make sure you get it right.
Okay, he said the philosophical implications of VTubing. It's like if Jim Henson was a pervert. Now, I want to get into this because this was something that I was already considering in my mind. I was formulating a way to talk about it, and I didn't get to touch on it during our 45 minutes on VTubers last time. I was already thinking about them as Muppets, kind of. They're Muppety. Just the way that they're like exaggerated. The over the top reactions to things, the flamboyant movements. So yeah, so I was already thinking that like these characters are basically already Muppets.
Okay.
And the performer behind them is sort of like a puppeteer.
Sure.
The way a lot of them do things with like there's one that like draws like crude hands where like the character's hands would be because like their model doesn't have like articulated hands. So like there's just these crudely drawn hands. Like if she's playing Mario Kart, she draws a little steering wheel in front of her, so it looks like she's actually driving. Things like that. They look like little Muppet characters, and the way that they are excited about things and like react to things and like just kind of flail their bodies around in this like uh excitable but yet stiff and stilted way. It just reminds me of the Muppets. Like just
Yeah, I can see that.
Just like Kermit the Frog like flailing around.
Sure.
So I had already had this idea, and then that's what my brother had sent. He said it's like if Jim Henson was a pervert. So,
I mean, that makes as much sense to me as, like, an animated character with a voiceover. Like, that's as much of a parallel as that is.
right. So then the other one last thing was I was up at 6 a.m. for some unknown reason. And so the one VTuber that's graduating, which means she's done and they're retiring the character, it was her last day, and she did this big stream or whatever. So her stream was the top trend on Twitter, and there were 500,000 people watching on YouTube.
Wow.
500,000 people. And this is like early morning hours for US. And there were still that many people watching.
That's cool. It makes me wonder why this character is leaving.
Right. Well, there was something about Chinese, I don't know how to explain it. Some kind of controversy with China. Because she said something about Taiwan like a year ago or something. So she was getting attacked by Chinese. I don't know. I don't know if they were like, because they weren't actually viewers, but just like Chinese trolls, I guess. So that was apparently a very stressful thing. I don't know the full story.
So, did you tune into this stream?
I did, because I was like, well, what else am I going to do if I'm up this early? And I think I caught like near the beginning of it through like the end, and it was mostly her like talking to the entire cast, through like they're separated by generations, like almost like goddamn Pokemon, of like when they're introduced. So it's like Gen 1, Gen 2, whatever.
Right.
And so she was talking to them in like a panel style, and like they're reminiscing about memories and times that they've had and shared together. And she's whatever being silly and dancing around, and then at the end she does a few songs with her generation, and they're all crying, and they have letters that they're reading to her, and and she's like telling them not to be sad and all this shit. And then she waves goodbye, and then that was that was it. Yeah. It's just very, very strange.
Did the stream go on for?
That was probably like an hour and a half that I caught. I don't know how much, like, I didn't, before I started watching it, how long it was.
Yeah, so that's like, I mean, this is someone who is a character, person behind the character that's captured, that's resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah, apparently.
But yeah, those are some serious numbers.
I couldn't believe it. It was
like when you had 500K written down, I thought like, okay, so probably Twitch, right? Because you usually see, if something's really huge, you'll see like that kind of number on Twitch. But YouTube, I mean, that's
right.
Like YouTube isn't really known for its live streams.
And the crazy thing is that I didn't think YouTube was even like the main thing for like Japanese viewership, because they have Nico Nico, which is like their Twitch or their kind of their Twitter / YouTube equivalent. But yeah, they're on YouTube, and
This entire like company's cast is on YouTube.
yeah, yeah. Um, what was interesting also was that I it's hard to tell if it was pre-recorded or if they were really doing but they had English captions for the for like the panel part. So I have a feeling it was probably pre-recorded because that'd be a lot easier.
It's really cool though.
Yeah, it was. So it was actually, I could follow it. And that was up until the song, like the concert portion. So I that part I guess was live, and then the panel stuff was probably pre-recorded, if I had to guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know for sure. I don't know how it works. But it clearly an elaborate setup. Because I know they have like different modes. So like whenever they're doing streams, presumably like from their home or whatever, it's like they're not 2D, but they're like They're stationary and they have limited movement.
Yeah.
And they only have like one, I guess, pose or whatever, like which is just them sitting. But then whenever they do a 3D stream, it seems like they're at a studio because they have a camera that's able to follow them. So it seems like there's like a camera operator, and like a bigger space to do things, and somebody that's clearly operating the different scenes. So it seems like a much bigger production. So like they have to be at a studio. And so that was
That's where you kind of see the company's like resources come into play.
Right, yeah. So that this was obviously one of those, like this big, thing. Like they're on a virtual stage doing these dance numbers and songs and all this shit. So yeah, it's just wild stuff. It's to see
6 in the morning.
Yeah, and they're doing like J-pop songs,
Sure.
And it's just like crazy to see them go. Like I've seen clips of them like doing shit in GTA, and then all of a sudden they're doing these, like this one that's retiring or whatever, can do like backflips and shit. So it's just like, okay, cool. Like I don't know. It's wild stuff.
You're in it now. You are in this community. I mean, you watched this entire, or most of this entire send off. So
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there's a lot. There's like an entire cast of them. I don't even know how many. Like they kept doing panels of like 4 or 5. There was 5 generations. So like, well, that's what, 25 of them. Plus the ones from Indonesia and the English ones. So that's, I guess, like 35.
I have to look up the VOD for this because I have not seen any of these really high production value broadcasts.
Yeah, I'll get you.
Sounds really
I'll
interesting.
get you the link. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a lot going on with it. So that's this week's VTuber update too. What do we want to move into next?
You skipped over my new segments.
Oh, did I? Oh, well,
once again, yeah.
oh.
Which it's fine, honestly, but
you know why? It's because that's like the shortest sentence in the entire thing.
Yeah.
And we weren't right into the hockey. So, yeah, if you got some new segments, we can just
Yeah, so I wrote these down. I wrote these down before I came on the show for the first time, before last week's episode.
Sure.
So I came up with some ideas for new segments. This was like, I mean, this was done not much later than 6 a.m. on the day that I did it.
Mm-hmm.
It was before coffee as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You
mean you don't get your day started by watching some virtual J-pop?
Not yet, but we'll see after I watch this. After you send me the link, I might get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So if you want me to pitch you some segment ideas here.
Yeah, fire 'em at me. I need new, fresh ideas. Clearly, I'm running
Well,
out because I'm going back to the Vtuber well. So
yeah, I mean, I can't say that these are exactly fresh, but all right, we'll see.
okay.
So the first one, it's kind of a funny coincidence with the first one here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mailbag, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
every podcast has a mailbag segment.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was thinking, the listenership might not be quite where it needs to be for like a proper
Sure. Yes. Yes.
a proper mailbag. So I thought in the meantime, you could just share what you got in the mail. And little did I know that last week you were going to talk about your Fortnite postcard. So
funny.
you beat me to it.
That's really funny.
You beat me to it.
The funny thing about that also is because you're now famously you have not listened to any episodes. We would give out the email address, so if anybody wanted to send something in, they were welcome to do so. And since I didn't write it in the thing last time and also this time, I forgot about it.
You're telling me my first segment pitch was already a segment on the show?
The problem is that nobody listens to the show. So
yeah,
and the three people that do, nobody emails. So
right.
There it could be a segment. It's just that there's no material for it. I need Epic to send me more junk mail. But if anybody would like to send anything into the show, they can email us at video@deadendroad.co, and we can actually fire up that segment for real.
Awesome. I feel like if you had a proper mailbag, even if it was just like one, right? Just one, which I guess we did have today with the with the funny comment from your brother, but
yeah,
that would make it feel like we've made it somewhere.
I think so too. The other, I've also had this idea for a long time. For some reason, my website gets a lot of spam, in its contact box. A lot of it Russian, and some of it's actually kind of fascinating. For some reason, I'm fascinated by gibberish spam, and I've wanted to do something with it, and I don't quite know what yet. So sometimes I save it. And a lot of times it is just for boner pills and weird Russian dating sites that probably don't exist. But
it seems like they've really gotten their targeted ads.
Oh yeah. My website has ebook and e-reader reviews and Bethesda rants and I need to send boner pills to this dude. So yeah. But sometimes it is it's almost poetic in a way. It's almost like some William Gibson I forget what was the Book of the Dead ass poetry where it's just some machine spit out this jumble of words and I don't know what to do with it, but I've saved it. So there's that.
I mean, that right there could be a better segment possibility than anything I have lined up here. So do you want to hear the next one?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next one is actually inspired by your other podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's I was thinking, well, for anybody who doesn't know, I don't know if you wanted to just, maybe plug your other podcast.
Sure, yeah. So, used to do a show called It Doesn't Add Up.
Is it not around anymore?
Well, our last episode was 2018?
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That can't be true.
Yes, it is.
Oh my god. Oh no. Hey, do you want to plug this podcast that hasn't been around in 4 years?
Do you want to know? Okay. Do you want to know the funny thing? is that it still gets like reliably decent traffic.
Well, yeah, because like that's a great topic. Like,
Yeah,
people love that stuff.
I know. Yeah. Um,
Okay, so I didn't realize that it's been that long.
yeah, tell
But
me about it.
so this was going to be like a mini, like less research intensive segment called the Conspiracy Corner.
Sure. Yeah.
Just thought maybe that the idea was that it would be in between episodes
Uh,
of that show. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, so there's
Okay.
that. There's the
all
Conspiracy
right, all right,
Corner.
all right. I have to. I'm sorry. I keep stopping you. I have to stop you again. Um,
No, please do. Please stop this.
it's very funny because the problem. I'm sorry. The problem is that these are good ideas. The these ideas are so good.
Really not.
No, the ideas are so good that I've done them already.
Oh, that you've done them already. Yeah, so you've had a conspiracy segment. I mean, you basically, that's like half of like the topics you come up with anyway.
So, so, so
Well, this is the
whatever.
whole thing, right? It's like I've never listened to the show,
Right.
so it's a
So this is just a repackaged way for me to plug shit.
great.
So since I couldn't do It Doesn't Add Up on a regular basis because Tori is all like insanely busy, I was going to do like whenever I rebranded Dead End Road and launched it, yeah, quotes, Dead End Road TV. I was gonna start producing videos, and the videos would be diving into weird shit, and I was gonna call them It Doesn't Add Up minis. Um, and then I was also going to get into those on the podcast here. And so we've kind of done that several times with like the Wayfair conspiracy and weird things like that. So I do believe it is a good idea because I've done it.
That's good.
So yeah.
So you haven't done that I have here. In fact, this one is going to be a tough sell, I think.
Okay.
But I'm going to try anyway. So it's called the segment's called Bill's Big Brother Breakdown.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this would require, a couple hours of your time each week. It's a segment where you start watching Big Brother again, and we break down what happened during the week on the show.
Now, when you say a couple of hours, do you mean that that's the time required to watch Big Brother, or that's the time it would take to break down the Big Brother?
No, I meant to watch.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we would try and keep it down to a reasonable amount of time. Because like what's happening is, in fact, just this afternoon while we're recording, the cast reveal came out for the new season that's starting on July 7th.
Oh, well, what do you know?
And I was thinking about it, right? And like, it's an immensely popular show, right? Like the reality show Big Brother on CBS, very popular.
Yeah.
The podcast, there's an opportunity here, I think, because it's not like flooded with Big Brother podcasts. Like there aren't a ton of them from what I've seen. So this could be like an opportunity for you to sort of expand your reach with Bill's Big Brother Breakdown.
Bill's Big Brother Breakdown. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like,
which could mean that you're breaking down the show, or you're having a breakdown while watching it.
Yeah, me as a Big Brother is just breaking down.
Yes, there's that too.
Yeah.
So what do you think? And also, I should add, if I continue to be on this show, I will be someone who is following Big Brother pretty much around the clock.
Right.
Because they have, if you're not familiar, they have a live feed, aspect to the show, where it airs on TV 3 times a week, right?
Yeah.
But there's a 24/7 live feed which people follow online, and yeah, I keep up with what happens pretty much around the clock. So
The thing is that this would be a great podcast for my like mom to host. Because she's all up in the Big Brother
sure.
thing.
But I thought with you it would provide like a fresh perspective, right? Because you're not someone who usually watches the show. You could sort of
Right.
come at it with a more critical eye, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So as in, oh man, this shit sucks.
Well,
Like
I
that
mean, it
kind
would
of,
be a little bit more nuanced, I'm sure, but
this shit really sucks.
okay, so I knew this was going to be a tough one to sort of, but it's really a selfish one
Right.
on my part, because I've got so many Big Brother takes, and we'll continue to have so many Big Brother takes, and
you need some outlet for them. I
need some outlet. Yeah. So I thought I would throw this in there. It's got it's like alliteration, right, with the
right.
B's, and
Yeah.
it's catchy.
Bill's Big Brother breakdown. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm worried that it might not fit the brand.
That was my concern.
You
too.
know?
That was my thing. It's like,
yeah.
Does it quite fit in with, VTube
Yeah.
and conspiracies and all that kind of stuff? I don't think it really does, but and also, like, if you don't agree to this, right,
Mm-hmm.
and the segment doesn't happen, then my backup plan was to just write it in the show notes anyway every week, so it becomes
Sure.
its own segment.
Sure.
Yeah, kind of like override your authority.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
well-
that was my big pitch.
Well, I
was
mean-
really excited about that one.
I guess you could try to Trojan horse it through the show notes.
But the problem there is that you're not gonna watch the show, right? You're not gonna watch Big Brother. There's probably no way.
Correct. But the thing
even though the timing is like perfect, because the brand new season starts next week, and it's like there's no returning players, so it's going to be an entirely new cast. So it's just like a clean slate, Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you think about me not watching it, that could also be pretty interesting too.
What? So I just ramble on about it, and then you?
Yeah, it's
have no idea what I'm talking about?
It's almost like oral storytelling. It's like
Well, yeah, you could kind of be like the listener stand-in, because there's the listeners wouldn't have seen Big Brother either.
Right. Exactly. I can be the everyman.
Yeah. Yeah, that's less fun though.
Maybe for you.
I mean, we could always continue this conversation after the show. We could.
Sure. Maybe we'll workshop it is what I'll leave it with. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the other idea was this could just be its own podcast. It could be like a spin-off.
That's that is an idea.
So then it does.
That's an idea.
Because then it doesn't interfere entirely with the brand of what you talk about on this show.
Sure.
It's its own thing.
Yeah. Oh man, but then I gotta make another domain and another RSS feed and another. Oof.
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to put a pin in that.
Yeah.
I did have a couple more.
Go for it.
So this next one, probably should have run it by you first, but
okay.
This is the Tinder trials.
Oof.
Okay.
Yeah.
the Tinder trials where you start using a dating app and you broadcast what your experience is with the world.
You know, I have also thought about this.
Have you?
Yes, but I have like wondered how I can do it without like breaching the privacy of other people.
Just wouldn't use like any real names or information, right?
But then like what am I sharing then? Like what am I
Just like the experience, but you just don't include any real names. Because like I've been on, I've seen on TikTok like people talk about like,
let me okay. Let me see if I can pull up, cuz I've seen some shit. Okay. So maybe this might be a trial run of the idea right here. Okay.
oh, great.
So this is a profile that I've seen on let's say an unnamed app. let's not identify literally anything about whatever.
Sure.
I'm into film, dance, music, flow arts, mycology, psychedelics, great vegan cooking, sustainability, the outdoors, God, conspiracies, and then in quotes it says, I don't like saying this one because it's not a fun hobby. Reconnection with the higher self, hermetics, ancient history, comparative mythology, and crossing the space-time illusion. And then there's a new paragraph. On the trad side of love, on the right end of the scale, might get called a fash sometimes. I live to love all and return to source one day. Def message if you play OSRS, which if you don't know what that is, that's old school RuneScape. Now there's a lot to take in there.
Yeah, I'm still processing.
There's a lot to take in there.
Did they at one point there say they might be referred to as a fascist?
That's how I took it, because they said might get called a FASC.
Yeah, I don't know what else that could stand for, right?
I don't either, and it wasn't like capitalized or anything. And so normally whenever people say fash, they say it's like FASH, like you're fashy.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know what else. And they say on the right end of the scale, and on the trad side, which is like,
I have no idea what that means.
Trad is like traditional, like you return to like
wait, so does that mean they're like
being a housewife,
homophobic?
It could be. I don't know.
The other thing on the right end of the scale, like what is that supposed to mean?
The only thing I think of is politics. What else is that?
Oh, like conservative.
Yeah, like what else does that refer to?
Right.
And definitely message if you play old school RuneScape.
Okay, I'm like regretting this segment.
I've seen some shit.
You just pulled this up. It's like
like I said, I've considered this. Like I can only turn my life into potentially monetizable content. This is what I.
Yeah. So you swiped right on this, right?
I mean, there's
person.
There's only there's only one way to. No, I did not.
If you need content,
yeah,
if you need content, then you're swiping right.
Yeah, no, I could. I could not swipe right on the RuneScape Tradewife. I could not. I could not do that. But I did take
God before conspiracies.
Yeah, they'd like to return to the source one day. Whatever that means.
I mean, they're already playing old school RuneScape. Isn't that the source? It's the original.
Yeah, I guess so. Um, so yeah, I've seen some stuff. So it is an idea. Um,
This is not going how I expected it to. None of this is going how I thought it would.
what did you like? Did you think that they like all these ideas would be rejected, or all that they like? I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the next one is kind of, we've already ruined it, but
Oh,
so the next one is just, it's the empty net, and the idea behind that is you designate the final minutes of the podcast to discuss anything hockey related.
shit.
With the idea being that you don't risk losing any listeners.
Oh well, that's yeah.
But we already screwed that up.
Shit.
So, yeah.
Should I put a time should I put a timestamp in like the description? Hey, if you want to skip the hockey chat,
Yeah, I mean, probably worth it, right?
go to 20 minutes in.
Yeah, beyond that, I had I ran out of ideas at this point, so I just had the new ideas segment, where I just do this every week.
I mean, hey,
Um,
that's all. Yeah, that's also an idea. But that's
and
that's some work on your end.
that's a lot of work. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely put in the work if you agreed to do Bill's Big Brother breakdown.
Oof.
Hell, I would start editing the podcast if you agreed to do that segment. I'd take over the the busy work.
Now,
So something to consider.
now, huh?
I'm really pushing for it.
Ooh.
So while I'm editing the podcast, you can use that time you normally spend to watch Big Brother
Oh.
and prepare for.
Man, I don't. Oh, at first I was like, "Oh, that sounds nice. That frees up some time," and then you just took it right back. Ah,
Yeah, definitely a give and take there.
damn.
But yeah, my last one, it's just very basic, but it's something that I always love when a podcast has it, which is a recommendation segment, which you've probably just done already, but I wanted to mention it because I do love recommendation segments. Like, it's genuinely like my favorite, like, podcasts I listen to regularly. If they have one, that's my favorite part of it usually.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a way to differentiate it.
From like just like the normal stuff that you bring up.
Right.
Yeah, it's not really a segment as much of like, it just like comes up in conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Um,
Okay, so you're saying my best one here is a segment that's not really a segment.
well, I'm just trying to see how to basically put a spin on it that isn't just taking it from JRVP. Also,
Well, I didn't call it. I mean, that has a name. I just said recommendations. I didn't actually give it any.
yeah, I sure. Um,
I mean, we could. Here's a potential spin on it.
mhm.
It could be like a recommendation exchange, right? Where like I have to recommend you something, and then you would like watch it or read it or whatever it is, and then you could talk about it on the show the next week, and then vice versa.
Okay.
And then like for me, my recommendation to you
Don't
every
don't
week would
don't
be
don't don't. Oh, yeah.
would be yeah, you know.
Yeah. The Big Brother. Yeah. Um.
But yeah, that's what I had.
No, I do like that. Sans the Big Brother. I do like that concept.
The exchange thing, yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like book clubby. Like,
Yeah.
Um,
So that's a possibility then. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All
Um,
right. I still can't get over 2018
yeah, it has been a
as the
long
last.
time. I think it was 2018. I could pull up the feed, actually. It was either 2017 or 2018 because time doesn't make sense.
What does not?
Do. Let me go to Pocket Cast because that'll probably be the fastest way. Doesn't that up? Yeah, October 2018 was our Halloween special. So yeah, it'll be 3 years coming up, I guess.
Big anniversary episode.
That'd be nice. You'd have to talk to Tori.
Yeah.
Cause shit, I've tried. She's
But
just
anyway, yeah,
very
that was
busy.
my big contribution to the show.
Yeah, no, I think there was some good ideas in there. Especially the ones I've done.
Yeah.
Um, um, yeah, no, it was good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so feel free to move on.
Speaking of things that we've maybe both seen, um, I know I want to maybe save Evil because we'll probably gush about it for way too long, and we've already spent some time today.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about The Conjuring, maybe?
Sure.
So I watched this on usually Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember. It's been a week, so I watched it this week. This is the third
For me, so
mainline
the third
Conjuring.
mainline Conjuring film. Yeah. I'm
Um,
just gonna keep talking over you during this.
no,
Sorry.
you're good.
Go ahead. Go ahead, please.
This is the third mainline Conjuring movie. And I I didn't I have a weird thing with this series where I like the first one. Uh really didn't like the second one, and a lot of people seem to really love that one. Um and so I didn't have a lot of expectations for this. I knew it was a different director. It's no longer James. I don't. Is it Wan or Juan? Probably Juan, right?
Juan, yeah.
Yeah. Because he's doing like Aquaman shit, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Um. And so, and I heard the reception was pretty poor for this. Um. And so I didn't really think much of it, but like the plot, the plot sounded, interesting. And then you said that it was you liked it, so I was like, okay.
So it's okay. No, I was just saying. So it's my fault that you had to watch this film then.
No, I had already downloaded it, and then you said it was
Oh,
good, so I was
okay.
like, oh, then I'll probably watch it.
So you were not high on it.
No, I wasn't after I watched it. I was like disappointed with what it like turned out to be. Um,
Okay.
so like whenever the plot is like, oh yeah, the I was gonna call them the Winchesters, but that's the wrong weird people house. Who are they again? The Warrens. Goddamn Warrens.
Yeah.
The Warrens like, oh yeah, they're into contact with like the first person that claimed that, he didn't do it because he was demonically possessed. It's like, oh, that's fascinating. That was like, I really want to see the Warrens like have to go to court, Like that was like the concept of. Go ahead.
I really wasn't looking for a courtroom drama out of this film.
I was.
But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
That's like what I wanted. And like whenever they were like gonna investigate. It's like, okay, we gotta find a way to get him out of this. And like I thought they were gonna kind of start like investigating into that. And so the way it unfolded was like, well, this is just kind of lame. And to just sort of have it wrapped up like at the end, like, yeah, no, he was found guilty or whatever. This was the first time that happened. And he got married afterwards. It's like, okay. I think his story was a lot more.
Say,
a lot more.
That part of it was pretty jarring. To have it just like end very abruptly without really anything on the court side of it, like resolved in the actual film.
Because they like introduced like the Warrens like gonna go talk to, like they had to convince that lawyer, and I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty, you know. Just like the pace was all bizarre. Like it didn't fit. And like all of a sudden they're fighting a witch.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just
Yeah.
It was just kind of like it ended up being goofy, but not even fun goofy.
I guess that's where we differ, because I thought it was fun and goofy. For the most part. Like I thought conceptually just like an irresistible idea for a story, right? Like, I mean, you even said going into it, like, first person to be, using a court defense of, I was possessed, and you have these two very renowned, like, paranormal investigators trying to crack the case.
Yeah.
And like it did have those investigative elements, right? Like they did have to connect the dots and end up where they ended up.
But where it ended up was just so convoluted.
I mean, yeah, like I'm not, try to avoid spoiler territory, but like,
no, we can go for it. Spoilers for the third Conjuring movie.
Oh, okay.
No, we can do it because I already said that they're fighting a witch. Like,
I think what I appreciated about the way it sort of resolved in the end was that the big fight had a meaning for the two characters' relationship. Right?
No, that was hackneyed as shit.
I mean,
that was so hackneyed.
It kind of worked for me. I don't know.
All of a sudden, his like heart condition didn't matter, and he gets to swing the big hammer around for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Even though they
did, that's fun though.
But they did Chekhov's gun of showing that he forgot the pills, and it didn't matter.
That is true. Yeah, they didn't come back to that.
Yeah.
I guess that was more of like I guess it was more of like to build tension, like just to remind you that he has this condition, but
it didn't matter.
It's weird. It's weird that it didn't end up mattering. Yeah. I don't know. I had fun with it. I should probably say that like I sort of rate big studio films, especially the horror ones, on a different scale than I would like anything else. Like I'm not, looking at this in the same way I'm looking at like, an Ari Aster film or something that's like more sophisticated. So my expectation level is like different. Like I'm just looking for something different than I would if, for something like, Saint Maud, right? So in that way,
I'm not looking for, Hereditary. I'm looking for, I don't know, like look at the Halloween from a few years ago, like something like that.
Still haven't seen it, but yeah.
It's like well done, like big budget horror. Like I'm not gonna say the beats, but like you know what this is. Like it's a goddamn blockbuster horror movie, but it's just done well.
Yeah, I guess even a more recent example of that would be, at least for me, The Invisible Man from last year.
right, right.
Yeah,
Um,
which is a film that like had something to say. It incorporated like some interesting like science fiction elements almost, and it was extremely well executed.
oh yeah, that thing
Um,
was tightly plotted to hell.
yeah, it was. Yeah, so this movie is not tightly plotted.
No.
Um, Definitely agree with you there. I feel like I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought the opening like 10-15 minutes, that whole just like wild, over the top like possession scene to start off the film was like pretty entertaining. Um, I like the dynamic between the two leads quite a bit, and I've liked it throughout the whole series.
That's the only selling point anymore.
It really is, especially after they lost James Wan, after he's stopped directing them.
He apparently
They're the
co-wrote
two.
this.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I enjoy seeing them. I did enjoy how they still had something to say about like their relationship. Ultimately, like that's whether you thought it was like forced or not, like that was still the priority
What
at the
did
end of this film.
what did it
You know what I
say
mean? Like,
except that they love each other? Like what? Like
well, yeah, like
like
after all they've been through, it's a nice moment.
eh,
I don't know.
it didn't do anything for me.
I like the waterbed.
That was a yeah, that was a tense scene. Um
Yeah. Like they had a few of like interesting
I,
horror moments scattered throughout. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Just the whole witch thing was like this woman can just teleport except whenever she needs to,
yeah. Yeah.
and like she can just kind of like talk. Like it was like Harry Potter shit. It was like I don't know.
Yeah. No, not a masterpiece by any means.
That yeah, the back 30 was bad to me.
Yeah, I mean, I had a decent time with it. I think my expectations were low as well, because of the reception, but I figured, I've seen the first two, might as well.
Its saving grace was that it was under 2 hours, honestly.
Definitely helped. Definitely
But at the
helped,
same
yeah.
time, it's like this could have been a better movie if they like paced it better. Like the beginning was like slowly plotted, and then the ending is this slapdash of we gotta go here to do the thing, and we gotta this witch is she's all over the place. We gotta the creepy old man. It's like so maybe with more time, but then it's like no, I don't want this to be over 2 hours. I don't. So I don't know. I think they were in a like tight situation, like lengthwise.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like there was a lot they wanted to squeeze in, and they sort of neglected some areas of it, and they rushed through others, and but it was an interesting concept. I don't know, I had a decent time with it.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, I just I don't know if I like want any more from this series.
So that I think I agree with you. I just don't know how much more they can get out of any of it, really. Like the spin-offs, I've mostly avoided. I've seen like one or two of them, and
Yeah,
they're not very good.
I never watched any of that shit. Cause like
And I don't know how many more they can do of these. Like how much do they have left to say outside of like whatever case they're doing in that given film?
right, and it feels like, and again, I guess this is probably going into like it feels like they're setting up. Like there's this network of witch cults, these Satanists. oh, it's the Satanists are doing all this. But it's like, okay, are you superheroes now? It's like, oh, you went to this other town to go find this girl. It's like I don't want to say it sounds so stupid to say the believability of it, but it's like you want to say that this is based off of real people, and at the end, it's like this witch gets crumpled up into a ball, and you're like, that's because you made a deal with the devil.
Yeah, I mean that aspect of it, like, has always been a little bit.
And then they just walk
tough.
away, and then like the cops are gonna show up, and what are they gonna? How are they gonna explain the dead woman and the dead priest?
Yeah.
Well, that's because she made a deal with the devil.
I mean, it's a series that's always been very. It's thought very highly of its main characters. Like, there's never really any sort of criticism about what they do. There's never any sort of like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like they know what they're doing, they do it effectively, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, there's no criticism about like what they believe. There could be no.
No, and anybody who questions them is sort of viewed as like not knowing what they're talking,
Right.
or just not being informed.
Right.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, you don't believe my wife can transport into the body of a dead girl.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, well, how the hell do I know? Like, why do you?
Yeah. So from that angle, like, a fourth movie now, I don't know how much more you can get out of that.
Yeah.
Without like mixing things up pretty dramatically.
It's like, yeah, what are they gonna actually like fight the devil now? Like, what are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's run its course.
That's pretty fair. Fair to say.
Is what's his face still pumping out those Insidious movies? Yep, the dude.
I have no idea. I've only ever seen the original, which is very good.
Because like for a while he was, he in like the late 2000s, he was like doing both.
Mm-hmm.
He was like the horror dude for some reason.
Yeah. At least like the big studio horror guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like bankable that way.
Mm-hmm.
Or do we want to talk about this trailer that you put here?
Have you watched it?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna need your reaction to this one.
So this is sexy beasts on Netflix.
Yes, new reality show coming to Netflix on I think July 21st.
I want to get married. I want to have babies before I'm like 26. Do you have health insurance?
What the actual?
Welcome to the strangest blind date ever.
Hey, how you doing? Damn, how you doing?
Could you fall in love with someone based on personality alone?
What is your ideal woman?
Personality, for me, is everything. Ass first, personality second.
You're the best looking devil I've ever seen.
This is really weird right now.
Would you count this as a weird experience for you?
Cheers.
So I like your fin.
So what if I pick you and I'm not what you expect underneath? Oh my God!
I've kissed this girl and I don't know what she looks like.
I'm literally just like in love with the moment.
Pull.
Oh! Whip it. Oh! Time has come.
This is gonna be really tough for me.
I can't choose both of you. I've made my decision.
My sexy beast is...
There's interspecies relationships happening on my grounds. I won't stand for it.
Okay.
If you're just listening to this and you haven't actually seen the trailer, if it sounds like their voices are muffled, that's because they are all dressed up in like animal prosthetics.
But just the head.
Yes, I mean there is like a costume element to it. Like it's all coordinated, but yeah, just the head is animal.
So I get the premise of, oh, you don't know what they look like, so are you being superficial, or are you going to get to know this person? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, like blind dating.
Yeah. Why do they have to be an animal though?
I mean,
Like you could put a
it's a great
put a
question.
bag on their head and accomplish the same thing.
You could, but that wouldn't be as visually interesting as what this
Interesting's one word for it.
is. I mean, it's like, the Netflix algorithm pumped out, The Masked Singer and The Bachelor, two popular shows, and they're like, how do we
Right.
combine the two, basically?
Ooh. But it's not. But it's not a furry thing.
No, but it would be very interesting if somebody like was a contestant on the show and they were like into that, like this was their thing,
But the thing with the furries is that they're like, they don't look like real animals, and these are like trying to be like human hybrid looking.
Yeah, the one guy there is just the cowardly lion from The Wizard of Oz. Like, there's it's just what he is.
Like the dolphin girl, like has like a, like a dorsal fin.
Yeah,
Like it's. So I don't think the furries would be into it because their whole deal is like the fact that it looks like a mascot.
just too realistic,
Yeah.
too realistic for them.
Yeah.
So then, who is it for?
That's a good question. I don't know.
And honestly, like, this is kind of the reason I added this. It's a funny trailer, but it made me think like a bigger question of like, what is Netflix making nowadays?
Right.
Like, what are they doing? Just what are they doing? Because I don't really know anymore, and I haven't for a while.
Yeah. I think that this will be like, it's the most expensive thing is like obviously the makeup. So like this
Yeah, no, it's another cheap reality show.
It's cheap to
By cheap, I mean like monetarily, like it's inexpensive to.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't cost much to make, so they can just shit it out. That's why they have like
Yes.
5 different dating shows now. It's because
Yes, they do.
It's because they're cheap as shit to make. And
But then why are they like spending $100 million on a one-off like blockbuster movie?
I don't.
And then like, why are they? Because we were talking about this recently. That show Manifest,
Yeah.
which as of like 2 days ago was still after like weeks the number one thing on that Netflix like top 10 list. And it's an NBC show, and they, Netflix acquired the previous seasons of it, and then NBC just canceled it, and they passed on it. They passed on making more of it, and it's the number one thing. If you believe their metrics, it's the number one thing on their platform.
Netflix passed,
and Netflix passed on it. The same thing happened with another NBC show called Good Girls, which was also just canceled because NBC is just canceling everything they have.
Right.
But that was also another show that performed well on Netflix when it arrived, and they passed on that too. So I just don't understand like any of their business decisions anymore. Like, I know we're past the idea of Netflix having like an identity as like, with the stuff that it makes. It's just like make everything. You just like throw stuff out there every single week. Like, I know that, but it's just some of these decisions just don't make any sense to me. And that's why I don't work in. That's why I'm not an executive, right? But like, I don't know. It's just very confusing.
Netflix is becoming like like the store brand of TV and movies, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they're the equivalent of like the basic cable, made for TV film that you would see.
Right. And like if you look at like
But then
anime, they literally
also
do
make,
that for anime adaptations.
yeah. So it's like there's that, but then they also get Scorsese and like, all these they make these big awards contenders.
Well, I mean,
So
they
it's
don't make
just-
them. They just
Well, they
just
put money
give them.
into
Yeah,
it.
they just hand out. They write the check, but
Sure.
because they want the prestige of that. But then they need you to keep your sub. They need your subscription.
Mm-hmm.
And the movies don't do that.
Right.
You're done with the movie in 2 hours. Or if it's a Scorsese
That's true.
movie, 6 hours. But so you stick around because you just throw on all this absolute garbage. And after 7 episodes, they ask if you're still there. That's all Netflix is.
So-
This is the equivalent of Netflix asking if you're still there. Is all this garbage?
It is, yeah. Mhm.
Hey, are you guys still
And
subscribed?
I guess their prestige ambitions have just shifted entirely to the film side because it seems like they've abandoned it on the TV side.
Right, because yeah, when was the last like, and I don't even mean like decent or like watchable show. I mean like when was the last good show on Netflix? Like original, not
I mean,
even
the first one that comes to mind is The Queen's Gambit back in
Yeah.
last fall.
yeah.
And they do have The Crown, but I don't really consider that because that's like older Netflix. That's like before they've
I thought you
that's when they
saying
were
old
setting
people.
out to make their prestige shows. But yeah, I can't really. I mean, there's
Witcher. I guess.
there's The Witcher. Yeah, they do.
But I think we're probably
import
coming on like 2 years
really good
since
shows.
the first season.
Yeah, yeah. They do pick up good shows from other places. Like there's this comedy, Feel Good that the second season came out recently on Netflix, but that was a BBC show
Right.
that they picked up. So stuff like that. But it just seems like their aspirations to be a big Emmy contender year in, year out have just fallen by the wayside in favor of Sexy Beasts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just find it interesting, especially because now there is so much more competition in the streaming landscape. Just kind of interesting to follow like what Netflix is doing.
Yeah, I think this is the shit that is like designed to trend. This is the shit that is designed to get the GIFs going. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
like this is this shit that, like
It's designed to get people to post the trailer in their podcast show notes so that they'll talk about it on their show.
right.
Yeah, and I've fallen right into that trap.
Right. It's the same reason why like if Bo Burnham's special wasn't on Netflix and it wasn't done in the way that Netflix promotes their comedy specials, it wouldn't have had as like the same impact that it did in the exact same way. And that's not to say that it's a different piece of work than it is. It's just that it wouldn't have exploded the same way that it did if it was on Amazon.
It's, like people, when people talk about streaming, a lot of people they will substitute the word streaming for Netflix.
Right.
Like Netflix is just like by default the thing,
Right.
and it's remained that even though there are so many other options.
Yeah, it's getting to a point where well, there's obviously too many of them. And
Yeah, there are.
like like talking to my parents, they can't keep up. They don't know where things are. They don't understand why they can't get their episodes of Discovery even though they have a satellite subscription. And it's because, like, you had to tell me that, oh, that's because HBO picked up Discovery. You know, it's like, well, oh, okay. Like all of these, like, deals and mergers and, like, all, like, CBS, like, has 2 services, basically.
And I know we're not going to get into evil in this episode, but, like, that's a perfect example because you need to subscribe to their Paramount subscription service to watch the new season. However, when you get there, you realize that the first season isn't even on that platform. It's on, I believe, Netflix because they licensed it out.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have, like, cases where South Park, which airs on Comedy, like, new episodes air on Comedy Central still, I think. I don't think that's changed.
I know that the like the quarantine specials that they had were like immediately put on HBO Max.
Really?
I'm not sure if that applies. Yeah, I'm not sure if that will apply to like full seasons though.
Interesting. So yeah, that Comedy Central is a Viacom property, which is owned by CBS, Paramount, that whole deal. But they had already licensed South Park to HBO, so all of South Park is on HBO and not Paramount.
Yeah, that's actually the problem with Paramount Plus as a whole. It's not essential right now because it's not essential to subscribe to it because most of their content has already been licensed out to other services.
Right.
So like half the stuff on there you can find somewhere else.
That was,
and the only reason you would want Paramount is to watch one of their like specific originals like Evil or The Good Fight or something like that.
Yeah, that was the
or Big Brother.
Wow. So that's on that's on Paramount. That's not on the CBS All Access.
Well, CBS All Access is Paramount. That's the name change.
They did roll it in.
They folded it in.
Okay.
Yeah, they folded it in.
Because for a while they were separate.
Right now it's all in one.
Yeah. See, because they're having the same problem that NBC had, which is that they licensed out all their shit.
Yep.
But Paramount's later to the game, even more so than NBC is, and NBC is extremely late to the game. Like, do you know a single soul that is subscribed to Peacock?
I do not.
Yeah, nobody's subscribed to Peacock. NBC is gambling all of it on the fact that people really want to watch The Office still.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, people only watch The Office because it was already available to them on Netflix.
Yeah, it's the convenience of it.
And it's the same thing with Seinfeld. Like, Seinfeld is now no longer on Hulu. It's going to be on Netflix.
Oh, it's not. So they're trying to fill that void.
Yeah.
And I would imagine Seinfeld will have quite a resurgence too.
Right. It did whenever it was on Hulu. Like, because it wasn't anywhere for the longest time, and then it was on Hulu. So, but there's like a weird like few month gap where Seinfeld doesn't exist anywhere. So like right now it's removed from Hulu, but it is not yet on Netflix. So there is currently a vacuum.
It's very hard for like anyone to just keep up.
Oh, it's madness. It's absolutely madness.
I mean, I feel like I'm pretty tuned into this stuff, and I still like have to search for where something is half the time.
Right, like we keep going back to Evil, and we'll probably have to talk about. We will talk about it next time because I really want to get into it. But like, I had no idea when that show was coming back because it had been like 2 years since the first season.
Yeah,
and I had no idea where it was going to be. I thought it was going to be on CBS proper because that's where the first season aired. It aired on television. So yeah.
And I'm fairly certain they filmed it with the intention of it being on CBS, but things changed after.
Right. So yeah, it's chaos.
It is, and it's gonna be, I don't know, like now there's talk of like mergers happening again. You know, where like HBO Max, like they find that they still can't quite compete, so they're trying to like team up with you know, other platforms to sort of create even more of a monster platform.
I mean, it makes sense because it's gonna end up being the case where it's gonna be Disney and Warner like it always is. Like,
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Netflix is gonna spend its way into debt, and one of the two is gonna scoop it up. I can see that happening.
I mean, Sexy Beasts, that will really keep your service afloat, in my opinion.
I don't know what the last thing I watched on that like series I watched on Netflix. It might have been Queen's Gambit, honestly.
Yeah. There's just so much bad stuff to sift through, you know?
Yeah. It's basically like the new like you said, like basic cable. It's like the new like TLC or something.
Yeah. They even have that very popular like real estate.
Sure, yeah. And just nothing but like just shitty documentaries. Just awful.
And also some Oscar-winning documentaries.
Right, and the problem is that you don't know which is which.
Totally, yeah. Like it requires effort to watch something good on Netflix. Like you are not just going on there and browsing and finding something that looks interesting. Like you can do that, and I'm sure a lot of people do, but you know,
No, it's
have fun with that.
It's a goddamn hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the
It really
not
is.
just the casual scrolling for, oh, I can't find anything right now. It's no, like I need to like go in, actually make a concerted effort. Maybe I'll need to search for something. Maybe I need to like oh, okay, let's see if they have this, and then look for something that's related to this, and like it's just
I don't know why I always say this, but you should subscribe to the Criterion channel and just leave it at that.
probably.
That's not true, because the stuff on Criterion takes a very specific like mood to be in, because you have to like, you know, you're getting into something that's going to be like dense usually and requires your full attention. So I'm not going to act like I'm sitting here watching the Criterion channel every night, because that's just not true.
Yeah.
But it is invaluable to have something like that. You know, when you have like HBO Max and Netflix coming out with some of the stuff they come out with.
Right.
But yeah, that was Sexy Beast. I
Sexy
had to
Beast.
throw that in there. You tuning in?
No. I think that this is a show where they want you to just watch the first episode. I bet you the first episode is like
everything that was in that trailer.
Well, yes. Probably everything that was in the trailer, and also like the one that like probably edited the best, like the one that was like put the most effort into, and the rest of it is just like, who gives a shit.
I actually heard they got Scorsese to come in and direct the first episode only of Sexy Beast. That was part of his deal. That was part of his contract.
Yeah.
He didn't know about it though. He was very angry.
God.
Oh yeah, but I did have an important question though related to this. Related to Sexy Beast, that is.
Of course.
Which is, you know, let's say you're cast on the show.
Me, yeah.
Yeah, you specifically.
Don't ask me what animal. Don't ask me what animal.
Well, that of course I'm going to ask that. That's you're cast on the show, and you meet with the head makeup designer, or you know, whatever that person's job title is.
Do you get to pick, or they just give you something?
I'm sure that they just give you something, but in this scenario, you get to pick. So what are you choosing?
Oh, I don't know. See that, like, it's a minefield. It's like it really is.
Cause see, I was thinking rhinoceros, okay, but then I'm like, oh no, cause
You're horny. Like
well, there's that, but then there's also like power dynamics in relationships,
you're overthinking it.
and okay, we don't. Never mind. I don't want to get into that. But so yeah, you don't know. You're not giving me an answer. on this one?
Like you can't really go horse either. You know. Like, it's
Why?
too loaded. It's too loaded. Like you end up like, if there's one horse girl in the entire group, you're done for.
Wait, what do you mean, horse girl?
Oh my god. Okay, I mean, okay, all right. I mean, horse girl in the sense that we know it, not a girl that looks like a horse.
Oh, I thought you're saying like, all the contestants are like get together in a room for the first time, and you, the male horse,
Yeah.
looks across the room at the female
No,
horse.
no.
It's like instant
No.
connection.
No, I mean a girl that is obsessed with horses because she rode horses since she was a little girl.
So that sounds like a really good strategy then, to be the
No,
horse.
you don't want a horse girl.
I mean, why? Why not?
Because they're nut. Oh my. Horse girls are. No.
Okay, I guess I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Horse. No. So horses are out. Rhinoceros is out. I don't know. Birds.
And they wouldn't allow my suggestion of peacock because of branding issues.
Right, exactly. I was gonna say birds are too showy. It was what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't do any brand deals. You can't be like, and you probably can't do a tiger either because of Tony the Tiger. Like you can't avoid. You have to avoid the mascots.
Well, I mean, also, who would want to compete with Tony?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So you can't do any mascots. It's tough. It's tough.
It is tough. Yeah.
Oof.
So are we covering the show on the podcast?
What should
we doing the
episode
episode breakdowns?
Is this our first recommendation? Is this what it's? And then we watch it, and then we have to.
Oh no, I wasn't going out that direction because I honestly I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't force you to watch Sexy Beasts.
Oh, what do we want to just watch the first episode and then come back with a report?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's July 21st, so it's
I mean,
2 weeks out.
My YouTube recommendations are, as we've discussed, so far gone, and let's just do it to my Netflix. Let's just mess it up. So yeah, I guess tune in next week where we'll talk about Evil, which is tremendously well done.
Yeah, it really sucks that we just tossed aside
show.
Just a fantastic piece of TV to talk about Sexy Beasts.
I know, but I want to give it enough space, and I'm like, oh yeah, we can talk about Sexy Beasts next week. just stack those two back to back next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should get out of here.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for listening. If any absolute psychopaths listen to this, we'll be back again this week, like I said, with some more. And if you're somehow listening, on YouTube or whatever, we're available everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any podcast app you like. You can follow me at DeadEndRoad everywhere.
You can follow him at DeadEndRoad. Yep, and stay tuned for the Big Brother coverage happening all summer long.
Yeah, it's a hot one. Expect the unexpected.
That's right.
My name is
Julie Chen Moonves.
Yep. She's got to get it in there because she's sticking up for that lovely gentleman. It's great.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yep. check out.
Aren't you glad I just totally disrupted your outro
Oh,
for that?
it's good. It's great. I love Julie. Julie's the best.
I'm still getting used to this whole podcast thing. I've just been talking over you more this week than last week, actually.
It's what are you gonna do? It's fine. I don't even know how much I'll have to edit out because of Discord. The Discord just completely shitting the bed. It's funny. It seems to this is the problem with Roger 2 is 1 week it'll be perfect. Next week, shitting all over the place. The next week after that, perfect. So for the Sexy Beasts episode, I expect no issues whatsoever.
Great. At least it works when it matters.
Right, exactly. Check out the website, DeadEndRoad.co. By the time this one goes up, I'll probably have streamed more Nocturne because it's Thursday the 1st, and I plan on streaming on tomorrow the 2nd. So check out the archives of that. You can find archives on the YouTube. Just do a search for DeadEndRoad TV because we don't have an official URL for that because I don't honestly know how to get that on YouTube. Yeah, we have a Facebook page too, DeadEndRoad TV. That's probably everything. Oh yeah, the email, because we're gonna do the mail-in segment. Yeah, video@deadendroad.co. Yeah, that should do it. All right, time to end this sucker. We will see you next week. Thank you so much.
See ya.